Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of A Coffee with Chris, the social media show that helps you create impact. As always, brought to you in association with our charity partner, 𝗖𝗵𝗁, who help local people affected by cancer, and new for 2026, Game Plan Coffee, Paddy and Scott's special coffee partnership with the High Performance Foundation. Every single bag of this that you buy helps them support the work of the High Performance Foundation, funding programs that help young people across the UK develop the mindset and tools to thrive in life, not just survive it. So if you love your coffee like me and you believe in giving young people a fair shot at their own high performance, grab yourself a bag of Game Plan Coffee today. I've been drinking it as always. I've actually pretty much finished this before the show's even started. It is absolutely delicious. Just trust me on it. Grab yourself a bag, links in the description, etc. As always, of course, as always, this podcast is also sponsored by the fantastic trio of Oliver Hill, Gemma Crane, and Callum Howard. Today's guest, he's back for round two to talk about the state of marketing in 2026. It's the founder of Fountain Partnership, Marcus Hemsley. Fountain Partnership, for those of you that don't know, I'll be surprised if you don't, but if you don't know, these guys take the risk out of digital marketing by forecasting upfront, maximizing ROI through full funnel optimization. Welcome, Marcus, to A Coffee with Chris. Let's talk about compound marketing to kick things off. Why is that so important to think about in 2026?
It's always important to think about, probably more so now because there's different things you can iterate. But let's go back to the fundamentals, right? So when you and I first met, Chris, it was via by a guy called Uncle Neil, or Neil Foley's his real name. I call him Uncle Neil. I don't know what you call him, but let's just leave that for another day. But he instilled some fundamentals in me years ago. There's only 3 ways to grow a business, right? You increase the quality and quantity of leads, increase sales conversion rate, and increase customer lifetime value. Now, if you have systems in place to increase, to measure and improve all 3 of those, you get what's called a compound effect. You get the exponential growth. Why is it important now? Well, there's so many ways you can drive traffic to a website. There's so many different ways you can get leads. You know, sales, I think actually it's in a world of AI, I don't know what you think, Chris, and like loads of just noise online. I think the human touch, especially in B2B, is even more important. So taking that seriously and also telling genuine stories with real content that makes people feel something, not just making noise. And then in terms of your customer base, you should be marketing to them anyway. You should be talking to them because, you know, again, another Uncle Neilism, you know, your client to someone else's prospects. So ultimately, when you look at the full funnel, and you've got systems in place to increase each part of it, that's how you win, that's how you get ahead. So that's why it's important.
What a way to kick things off, Marcus. I'm so excited to get stuck into this. The first thing I want to subtract from what you've said there, which we should zoom in on, is do you predict that this year there's almost going to be this punchback, this right hook, this fight almost for the human touch within marketing, because we've been swamped by not just AI content full stop, but people talking about AI and the AI takeover, etc. Do you think there's almost going to be this kind of renaissance of being human, of connecting genuinely through online platforms again? And by the way, by SEO, PPC, social, all of those things.
I mean, all these things really are just a medium just to communicate, right? Like, and the problem is that the noise has got louder, but our attention hasn't got bigger. If anything, it's got smaller, and we just don't have the bandwidth to deal with loads more noise being chucked at us. So there's a new expression. Have you heard of vibe coding, Chris?
No.
Okay, so last year was like vibe coding, where basically you just open up AI and say, create me this, and it will code it for you, right? You don't have to be a coder to build a tool, right? So if you use something like, a friend of mine really likes Claude Codex. So if you wanted say you wanted a tool to transcribe YouTube videos, right? You could get it to build that in seconds. Wow. This year, a lot of people are talking about vibe marketing. So you'll go to an agent and say, just build me a campaign. And it will go out. I was looking at one yesterday, actually. This is one friend of mine, Paul Rawlings. He's about to launch it. He's calling it Dave AI, which I think it needs a better name. What Dave can do is go, Dave, my ICP are Shopify stores. I want to sell them, some consultancy. Go out and get me some clients. It goes, who is your ICP? And it'll make a list and it'll have all their names and whatever. And say, right, Dave, can you just put together some email sequences and fire them off. Yep, it'll do that. All the rest of it, which, okay, if anyone can do that now, that means that everyone in the next sort of year or so is going to be making a lot of noise, even more so. And all of us who are someone's ICP are going to get inundated with even more emails, even more spam. And then really what we're craving is just a human connection. So I imagine that trust-based selling, i.e. through ecosystems, partnerships, relationships, that is supported by genuine content that's helpful, that's written by a human being as well. You have seen, maybe you've seen people like that who like sign off their own posts saying written by me or written by a human. I think that's definitely going to be there. So I imagine that's going to be the case, because as soon as everyone starts doing some form of vibe marketing, where you just ask an agent to, because they're sort of like super agents, they can then go off and build campaigns and fire off emails and in-mails and all the rest of it. It's all going to be quite rubbish and generic. Of course, there'll be exceptions of people that put good information and pain points and so on into it. I'm not saying vibe marketing won't work at all, but for the average person trying to do it, they're just going to make more noise and spam more people. So in terms of your original question about compound marketing, I always feel you need to look at it the other way around, which is less marketing and more just looking at the funnel and saying, if you want more revenue now, short-term revenue, go to your existing customer base, serve them, help them, speak to them more, right? And then work backwards, go to the sales pipeline, close more of them, and then look at making noise and generating leads. But the leads you generate, sell hot, sell to people who already know, like, and trust you. Do you know what I mean? Or have genuine content like you're creating right now that's personal and feels real. I'm not speaking to a Chris that's an AI. I don't know, but please don't replace yourself with an avatar, mate. And
yeah, that's what no one knows. This year for 2026, I'm now AI. This isn't a real live stream anymore. ...
Yeah, I'll send this to you. There's a service I came across where you can actually, and I have to say, they were rather good-looking men and women avatars that they were literally, it's an AI that will make literally a outreach campaign with messages. The AI will go onto the website, find some problems with it, and say, here's a report for your website. And it's a video of a human-looking person, rather attractive, saying like, hey, Chris, we've had a quick look at your website, and there's some things that we could fix really quickly. Would you like to tee up a call? I'm just an AI avatar, but one of our, human agents can, and it's just like, cool. It looks, I think there's a novelty factor on that, because at first you go, that's cool.
Yes.
And by the 10th sort of weird, sort of like, semi good looking robot that's sort of chatting to you, you're like, actually, this is bizarre. So yeah, it's all going to speed up and it's going to be very curious. But I think people should be aware of vibe marketing, and yes, it can be helpful, but back to basics, guys. You're dealing with human beings here. They're not a number on a spreadsheet.
Love that. Love that. I'm going to go on to spreadsheets in a minute. Actually, it's my next question, Marcus. But before that, I wanted to talk about contacting, engaging with your existing customers, right? That's almost like an unsexy, very basic thing that so many marketers don't talk about, Marcus. And so I'm happy that you said that. It's one of the things that I recommend when it comes to consulting with someone on their social media strategy is, well, have we used our social channels to actually essentially build rapport with our existing customers? Can we big them up? Can we showcase them? Can we share their product or service? And it's one of those things that seems to get forgotten about through the next shiny magpie thing, Marcus, right?
Yeah, and I think we all do it. I think there's a cognitive bias that humans want. We're hunter-gatherers. We want the new shiny thing, and we don't get the same level of dopamine blast. Like looking after our existing clients, which is really sad. But we have to override that and actually think, well, these are really lovely people that we enjoy serving. What more can we do? You're right. Can we share their posts? Can we invite them to an event? Can we catch up with them more? Can we connect them to other clients and they can do joint ventures? How can we just add more value? If you're just a commodity to the client, then you will be replaced. If you're a trusted advisor who they really like, then the lifetime value will be longer, right?
Yeah.
And I think the best businesses in the world are the ones where a client stays for life. That should be the goal, right?
Yeah.
It's so much better to keep and love the client than it is just to go after. But there's less, emotionally, you've got to get over that, right? Like if you said to me, hey, Marcus, I've got a nice 10 grand a month shiny opportunity for Fountain. Like, oh, Chris, that's cool. It's like, and then one of my team says, oh, Marcus, as one of the clients wants us to, like they want to double their retainer from 10 to 20. So it's 20 grand a month, or so in total, an extra 10. It's worth the same amount, but actually it's so much better to go after the, to make sure we win that existing opportunity and look after them, because we know the client, they're good payers, it's a good relationship. But emotionally, I'm more excited about your one, Chris. I don't know why. I'm just more excited. It's because I've been wired to keep going out and getting more, which is why I think humans, we work well with materialism and capitalism, because it's a survival thing, but we have to get over that because it's just not intelligent.
So really, what people could take away from that, Marcus, if I'm hearing you right, can be make sure that you market to your existing customers as well, and don't forget about those guys. Oh, I want to. You mentioned spreadsheets earlier, and I want to kind of ask you about a question about marketing data, Marcus, if you don't mind, because I know that that's something that Fountain Partnership use and deal with exceptionally well. Are there any kind of techniques or approaches to marketing data that will become almost non-negotiable for people in the next 12, 18 months, 2026 and beyond?
I didn't plant this one. I'm so glad, because it's what we've been talking to so many people about this at Fountain recently. Like, there's such a disconnect, or there has been, between marketing activity and driving the only thing that matters, which is profit. And we've been working a lot with clients recently. We won a new one last week off the back of just sitting down with the MD and the commercial director and saying, we want to take your P&L. We want to look at, quality of customers based on profit, and then attribute them back to the marketing activity and leads. So rather than going after it like a cost per lead or cost per acquisition, it's like profit per lead, and tie the whole thing together. Like, I think too often in marketing, we're just going, let's make lots of activity and generate leads.
Sure.
And we've generated leads, or it's an e-com, we've got an okay ROAS, or return on ad spend. We think we've done our job, but actually we're not looking at POAS, profit on ad spend. We're not looking at the profit that's driven. I think there's a disconnect. And I think going back to being bold as a marketer in 2026, you will stand out if you give a shit about profit. So I shouldn't, don't know if I'm allowed to swear on this, but we're having a coffee. So, but if you care about that, if you care about profit, that distinguishes you. Now, of course, the brand people at the top of the funnel say we can't do that, etc. Like, no, but you can still do a nod to it. Still say, okay, we are assuming if we're building brand over 3 years, we're going to have this sort of share of voice. Let's play around and model what that will translate to into increase in leads, increase in sales conversion rate, because they know, like, and trust the brand, increase of retention. Like, there should be a number next to every marketeer, and that's going to be more and more so, I think, as the future goes on.
Yeah, I think that's fascinating stuff, Marcus, and is certainly something that people should tuck into. I'm with you. It seems still so fragmented and separate and not joined up. And I love some of the concept around that. I think it's so important that people think that way. One of the great bits of, well, I said many of the great bits of thinking that's come out of Fountain is, of course, resulted in some exceptional work for your clients, and so much so they've scaled and exited, including 𝗖𝗵𝗿𝗶𝘀 and trade extensions. We're talking 15 million, 45 million there. I wondered, Marcus, whether there's any lessons that those guys have learned through working with yourself and Fountain Partnership that you could perhaps divulge and share with other people that they can take forwards into 2026.
I mean, in fairness, it's quite, in both of those instances, the founders were very sharp, very commercial, and it was a match made in heaven, because when we ask about profit-driven approach, and I think that it all goes back to the fundamentals. At the beginning, you talked about compound marketing, or we can call it full funnel, but just go back to those 3 things that we mentioned that the wonderful Neil Foley talks about, and just measuring and improving each of those. Like, just let's keep it really simple. And I think we forget that. I've said it loads of times, the big mistake in marketing is focusing on activities, not outcomes. Okay, so let's look at everything you're doing. Okay, how's this going to generate more leads, and how many leads do you actually need, right? Because a lot of the time, like, especially with trade extensions and other things, like, increasing their sales conversion rates will do a lot more of the heavy lifting than just generating more leads. And increasing customer lifetime value is huge, right? I sit on the board of a number of agencies as well now, and the first thing we look at really often is, okay, well, if you want revenue this quarter, let's go to the bottom of the funnel. Let's go to existing clients, and there's like 6 to 12 levers you can pull. You can upsell, cross-sell, expansion sell, increase prices, ask for referrals, introduced to other partners in exchange for leads, etc., selling technology for a kickback in commission. Like, there's so many things you can help that ecosystem with. So really, it's a combination of doing all three. Those two you mentioned, they did full funnel. They were on board with that. They cared about improving all three of those things. I don't think that will ever change, really. Do you know what I mean? There's different ways of doing it. The technology makes it easier, or like we were talking about earlier, the technology also might mean that we need to be more focused on being human centric. But profit first, measuring those three, that's what worked, and it still works to this day with a lot of the clients. Like, it's never going to change, to be honest.
I just love your line that, yeah, I mean, it's one of the hundreds of bits of wisdom that I've managed to sponge from you, Marcus, through working for you and with you, is people prioritizing activities over outcomes. And it's something that I've brought into my business and disseminate across our clients. Really, when it comes to social media, it's all very well and good just making noise, but actually, if it's not driven towards an outcome, it's just noise, right? So I wanted to kind of, this wasn't in our planned show notes, Marcus, but I want to kind of throw this at you. What do you think of the kind of the state of social media specifically at the moment, and how maybe people can adjust what they do with that very top of funnel marketing activity to ensure that people actually get an outcome rather than just make noise?
So I think it's a difficult one to answer in just a general phrase, because obviously it depends if you're B2B or B2C. And B2B, sure. LinkedIn is normally where I play. There's a lovely, James Potter, you've met him before, right? The LinkedIn man. I mean, he's all about using LinkedIn as if it's social networking rather than social media. What he means by that is it's not about broadcasting and saying, hey, I'm great, I'm here, whatever, get loads of like followers or whatever. Like, Oliver Hill, who you mentioned at the beginning, like, he's been doing a bit with James Potter, and I mean, he did some great posts on it last week about, I've reduced my number of connections just to a cohort. I think it went from like 6,000 to about 800, but 800 people who he knows, likes, trusts, enjoys, and he's using it as an opportunity to sort of, I guess, engage with his own ecosystem and speak to people. It's like leveraged networking on steroids. Works brilliantly on B2B. Obviously, B2C, if I'm pushing product, that was not going to work in the same way, right? So he needs to then sort of make more noise and stand out and look at partnerships, affiliates, all that sort of thing. So it really depends. I think the only thing I would say about it is just hooks are everything. We know that. That's not changed. The best content, I feel, is the post you're really excited to post. Do you know what I mean? I had a post where I've woke up in the morning, God, I can't wait to put that out. And it always seems to do better than the ones I think, I need to post, and I haven't posted for a while.
Yes.
But this is going to be quite controversial, and I've had a debate with Nathan Lomax about this quite recently. The statement I'm about to make, I just got a bit fed up of social, for me personally. And I was like, I'm done. Like, I'm not going to post on LinkedIn unless I really want to. And again, there isn't long enough. This has like been the last 5-6 months, but because I'm very active, you know me, right? I'm back-to-back calls. I'm out. I mean, this afternoon I'm in home house. I'm inviting 12 people. Like, I'm doing it in real life. Business for me, both personally and for Fountain, has never been better, right? So again, it's horses for courses. There's a couple of agency owners that I sit on the board of. They're more introverted. For them, it does make sense, and it's important for them to post. Where I see it falling down is sometimes people just falling out of love with it, and I sort of bring this full circle. The reason James Potter advised Oliver Hill to cut out a lot of people on his LinkedIn and just go to the ones he really wants to see is so you're curating your newsfeed, so you actually want to be on the platform. And perhaps if we make it really like human again, I think if you feel like you have to do it, you've got to post every day to get sales, and it feels exhausting and not fun, it's not sustainable. It's not going to work. Yes. If you find a way to fall in love with doing it and engaging with people you enjoy and talk about things that are interesting and fascinating, then it will be sustainable. It'll make your heart sing. And I think maybe that's the first thing to do. And then when you underpin it with what's going on now, AI takes away from that. If I'm asking a bot to do it, I've just lost something. So sure, like there is a bit, I use AI in lots of different ways. It's just, like creative sparring partner. I make little agents. I upload loads of my transcripts from calls from Fathom to sort of figure out what I would say or there's cool stuff you can do with it. But ultimately, social media is about me being sociable with you. and connecting to your post,
Good.
having something
Good.
genuine to say and all the rest of it. And I think, yeah, when people automate, it's lost and it loses its soul a little bit. And that's a real shame, I think.
It's so refreshing for you to kind of break all of that stuff down. It would be so easy for someone to look at you, Marcus, and what you do and who you operate and work with and on the board of, etc., and think this guy is just going to be like a tech geek. But you have this incredible way of making it so simple and doing the fundamentals and breaking it down. And you're right. Let's remember what social media is for, right? Which is that social networking piece, especially in B2B. I think some gold out of that, Marcus, is actually including people within the conversation. And of course, don't do that thing where you tag 15 people unsolicited what you post. You'll be penalizing the algorithm for that anyway, as of my understanding of Tuesday, the 13th of January, 2026. But if there's an excuse to tag them in, right? So we've spoken about James Potter today. We've spoken about Oliver Hill today. We'll tag them in the post and bring them into the discussion, because then not only do we do rapport with them, we break into their networks, and that's the point of social. So right.
Yeah, it's basically, and again, I'm talking about James Potter's philosophy. I think it's very true. It's basically leveraging what I'd be doing at like I'll be doing later at Homegrown, like a business networking club or a get together or mixer. Like I just doing, you're standing around, and it's Sarah Clay's another LinkedIn trainer says a similar thing. It's exactly that. I mean, she's got a thing of like she wants to try and comment on 5 to 10 posts a day, and not like, oh, I've done my 10. It's more like if it genuinely excites her, like, oh, that's really cool. But look at commenting and engaging more than also broadcasting. Is like, actually people say, I don't have anything to say today. I mean, a James Potter might say, well, what are you up to today? So I'm doing this, this, and this. Got this meeting. Cool. Talk about that. Fine. If you don't feel comfortable, you don't want to, then just engage other people's stuff. Or, as I would say, it's not essential if you've got other ways of getting leads as well. Like I think I've noticed a few people with their sort of smaller businesses, they're posting a lot, but then I speak to them, they're struggling as well. And it's like, yes, definitely have that if you really want, but there's, you should be having, partnerships, real sort of one-to-one coffees, speaking to old clients, growing existing clients, increasing the sales conversion rate. There's lots of avenues in the real world to generate leads. And I think you need multiple different sources. And of course, there's paid advertising, but I'm thinking more, perhaps your listeners might be the sort of more SME market. Again, like Google Ads, brilliant for some businesses, for some people not. And if you're starting up in Google Ads, well, it's done on an auction. So we've had sort of like 25, 30 years of people bidding. It's going to be quite expensive. They've got some quite sophisticated funnels. So for me, it's just like, how can you get the best quality leads that are profitable for the minimum amount of money? And often it goes back to selling hot. It's going like, I tell people a lot, like they've been in business for 5, 10 years, just basically like go through the list of anyone you've ever invoiced, have a catch up with them, and you'll more likely win back some work and get some referrals than if you just go networking to a room where you don't know anyone.
And remarket to them, as we've already said. Marcus, I'm going to turn you into it. I'm going to turn you now into from a award-winning, experienced, well-respected digital marketing guru to a painter. I want you to paint the picture for us, the 2026 digital marketing picture. What does a best performing digital marketing strategy look like this year? What are the key elements, Marcus, that you could perhaps quickly highlight in bullet point form for us?
Okay, so super general, because again, it's maturity of business, B2B, B2C, all very different. Right, let's go to fundamentals and be true for everyone. So number one, I bang on about this, website conversion rate optimization, right? That one, if you've got a website and you're getting leads from it, measure the percentage of people that are converting. And you can always look at quick wins, like in terms of like time and money in to increase the conversion rate of the website. It's the best return on investment I've seen, right? So website conversion rate optimization, that's still underinvested in. Fine. I think if you're spending money on, they say it's digital marketing, so let's focus on that. You're spending money on any of those channels, so Google, Meta, whatever, there's still loads of ad fraud. There's lots of bots clicking on it. So have some form of ad fraud prevention software. I'd have a budget for testing out the new sort of LLM ads, I don't know how good they're going to be, but GPT have said they're going to launch their ads, and Gemini have just launched a partnership with Shopify, so you'll be able to buy, you know, on Google Chat, on Gemini, you'll be able to buy products and stuff. So have budgets to test those things, fine. But ultimately, I would look at marketing more to your current customers and looking at having a, you know, if it's B2C, some, you know, more that LTV, loyalty, upsells, cross-sell programs. Again, B2B similar, but then I think also B2B with sales, like definitely doing more lead nurturing to increase sales conversion rate. And then I think in terms of serving your customers better and also understanding them for marketing collateral, a lot of companies use note takers, right? Fathom, Note Taker, Otter. I would be getting all those transcripts, uploading them, putting them all into agents and trying to understand the customer better like that. Because you've got real-time data of conversations your client services team are having or your sales team having with customers, and get the AI to find out what the key objections are, what they're actually saying, and then use that with your marketing department to talk about pain points. So you're building a lot more of your collateral around pain points. So it is using AI, but it's using AI in a smart way to really understand what's going on for people and taking all the data of all the conversations you're having. So things like that, I think, would be good. Where I think it will go wrong is that there'll be lots more noise. A lot of people hyping about how amazing ChatGPT is for, you know, their new ads or something, and without anyone actually running any tests. So it's just going into it with your eyes wide open.
Yes,
those are a few points. There's some bullet points there if you want to.
It's really good.
But people can reach out if not. They want me to chat more about them. So,
that's really, really good, Marcus. I love all of that. And I particularly like the part of these note takers, right? And understanding what your clients, your prospects are actually saying and how they're saying it. A piece of work that I was involved in recently with an amazing guy called James Hale from 𝗖𝗵𝗿𝗶𝘀, and he was working on a joint client with me, Orange Fox Electrical, and went through this workshop with them and actually learning what language they're speaking and then using that in their future marketing material. It seems so obvious, but it's something that's massively missed. So thanks for flagging it, Marcus. Where can people do business with you? How can they connect with you, Marcus?
Even though I'm not active on LinkedIn, just reach out to me on LinkedIn. It's probably the best way. Do you know what I mean? You can do that, or you can give my details, you know, in the comments. Like, it's absolutely fine. You can contact Fountain. You can contact me via LinkedIn. I really just have a chat about this stuff. There's no agenda. It's just, yeah, let's have a coffee. I still have my goal, Chris, of 50 coffees, lunches, and dinners a month. I still stick to that. So like, I'm flying tomorrow, but then Thursday and Friday I've just got loads of half-an-hour back-to-back meetings. And someone said to me the other day, he's like, "Marcus, how do you know so many people?" It's like, well, I used to have this non-exec for 6 years called Spencer Gallagher. And every month, when you remember Spencer, you know, every month we used to, the board meeting used to go, "Right, Marcus, show me a spreadsheet. Can I see your 50 conversations you've had this month?" You know, have a go if I hadn't. But in fairness, that helped me build, you know, you imagine that, like 50 a month, 600 a year over sort of almost 20 years. That's a lot of connections. So yeah, love meeting new people, sharing ideas. Like, I learn a lot from it as well. So yeah, people can reach out.
Love it. And thanks once again, Marcus, for being one of the genuinely great marketing minds. I don't say that lightly. Very grateful for your time today. Thank you so much for coming on A Coffee with Chris.
Mate, I've enjoyed it. Best coffee I've had all day.
Love it. And thank you so much to those that have watched live, have listened, or are watching back as we speak. If you've enjoyed this Coffee with Chris with the great Marcus Hemsley, I almost called you Marketing Hemsley then. He may as well be Marketing Hemsley. Then drop us a comment in the description, in the show notes, live on social, however, wherever. Drop a comment, ask us questions, and we'll get back to you. Once again, massive thanks to Game Plan Coffee for being a proud partner of A Coffee with Chris in 2026. And I will see you this time next week for another episode. Thank you very much. And